What's up, my dude? So it says fixed issue with 125 two-stroke with engine power. So apparently they've got on in here and adjusted on my beautiful baby, and I'm going to go in here and see how much I hate it. I knew this was probably going to come sooner or later, but it was just kind of a matter of time because obviously the 125 was way too beast in this game when it first came out. I mean, honestly, it was to the point where I would rather... Is this track different? Or am I just on a section that I've never been on before? I don't remember this, like, canyon section over here. It has to be the same, but god dang. I don't remember this, like, Grand Canyon section right here at all. Either way, yeah, basically when the game first came out, there would be times where I honestly would rather be on a 125 than a 450. Some people loved the 450 when the game first came out, but I just could not get the hang of it. Like, I felt like I was at a massive disadvantage if I was riding on the 450, and it really shouldn't even be a question, you know? Like, you should obviously be feeling faster on a 450 than a 125 in a motocross game. So I don't know how much they actually changed on it. I have no idea. They just said they fixed it, so there's no telling. They could have decreased the horsepower by, you know, 0.69 or fucking 0.5. Like, I don't know how much they actually decreased it. I'm just all kind of running off of what I remember how fast it was. Seems like it's just more on the level of like if you, it just doesn't have that super NOS boost power, super feeling like it had before. That's really the only way to explain it. Can I stop rolling down backwards on this hill? Thank you. Okay. But I mean, obviously you don't want the 125 to feel like that, even though I love it. Like, it's so much fun to have basically a God mode 125. At the same time, you know, you lose a lot of your realism in the sense of, like, that's just not real to have a 125 jumping over a 450. Like, it just, when the game first came out, I mean, honestly, I just didn't even think they were comparable. Like I said, I know some people really got into riding the 450s and stuff like that. I think there was like a certain setup and a certain kind of tire setup you had to have on the 450 to make it like it was supposed to be. I'm not really sure. That's just what I heard on some comments people left and stuff when I was saying, like, oh, good God, I feel so slow on this 450. But all I'm saying is the 125 just felt right from the get-go. It just felt good, man. Felt like the fastest bike in the game to me. When you consider, you know, it's not all about the power. It's about the nimbleness of the bike. It's about the way they've got how the lightweight physics of certain bikes feel over other heavier bikes. Like, when I first got on the 500 two-stroke in this game, I was thinking, like, oh, dude, this 500 is going to be sick. It's the Widowmaker. Like, you know, it's going to be crazy. Like, it's going to be so fast in the game. But once I actually got on it, I was like, oh, dude, this thing feels so heavy. Like, I feel like I can't even ride it, you know? You can have all the power in the world, but if the bike is not nimble, does it really matter anyways? I don't think so. So that's kind of what it kind of started getting into there a little bit, was I felt like even though the 125 may have been somewhat even, that's what it felt like to me. It felt like it was even on the power of it and like a 450 or a 500 or whatever, but just the nimbleness of the 125 is what brought it to that next level. You know, it really felt like a totally way more lightweight style bike than all the other bikes in the game. So it was kind of like, to me, it just felt like the 125 was the only way to go. But now it seems like they've cut the power down a little bit, so it doesn't feel as fast as the 450, doesn't feel as fast as the 500. It just doesn't feel like it has that super oomph, you know, that super giddy up and go. It feels like the power is just more of a, it's like the power's more linear now. It's not as hard hitting, not as extreme as it felt like before. So I'm guessing that's what they changed. Hell, they may not even have changed the power at all, and I'm just coming on here and saying all this shit like I think they changed the power, but they didn't even change it. I don't know. It's sometimes hard to tell, especially when you haven't played a game in a little while, but that's what I noticed right away. Like, I was on the 125, and I had seen that on their little patch update thing that they had, the patch notes or whatever. They were like, it said fix the issue with 125 engine power or whatever. So I looked at that and I was kind of like, huh, what does that mean? So then I actually got into the game for the first time on that update, and I was like, dude, this 125 does not feel as amazing as it used to feel. So that's basically just kind of put 2 and 2 together there, and wanted to come in here and make this video and kind of see how different it really felt. So that's what this was all about here. Now, like I said, it's better to have the 450s faster than the 125 just because that's just how it's supposed to be. You know, it just does not make any sense if everybody's on 125s instead of 450s. And I know back in the reflex days, you know, the 125, it wasn't like it was overpowered. It wasn't like it was better than the 450, but if you were good at the game, you could still do pretty well on a 125, and I feel like that's how it should be. You know, the 125 shouldn't be so slow that no one can even ride fast on it, you know, like it's just not even viable at all. Like you can't hit any jumps on it. Like I feel like it has to have a certain level of quickness to it and viability, maybe even a little bit more than it is in real life. You know how in real life, like, it'd be pretty hard to ride on an actual AMA supercross track on a 125. It'd be hard to hit big triples right out of a corner and certain stuff like that, you know, big rhythm sections. I like in these games where the 125 can still hit that stuff. You just have to hit stuff on the outside instead of the inside. You know, it just doesn't have the 4-stroke kind of torque where you can just run up the inside and basically almost come to a complete stop and then just haul ass around the inside and still huck up on a big rhythm. You know, 125 shouldn't be able to do that, but it still should be able to hit those rhythms if you can rail it wide open all the way around the outside of a corner. So I like for the 125s to still be competitive, but just not better than the 450. And I think they, you know, they're trying to come in here and kind of fix that with MX versus ATV All Out. I feel like at the beginning it really was more of an overpowered. The 125 was just way too good. I don't know if it was the power of it was too much, or if it was the nimbleness of it was way more lightweight than every single other bike in the game. I'm not really sure exactly what it was, but what I do know is now it all seems to feel more like it should be. It seems to feel more normal to me. Everything seems to feel more even, you know, even though the 125 does still feel lighter than the 450, it's like the power is cut down enough to where it doesn't make up for it. You understand what I'm saying? Like the power's cut down enough to where even though this bike is super lightweight and nimble, it's not better than the 450. You know, it's not faster than the 450. So I just feel like they kind of just went in here and tried to cut down on the power a little bit and try to even all that out somewhat. And that's basically what I can tell from just first getting in here and kind of seeing it. I know over time I'm probably going to be able to tell a lot more of a difference and kind of see like what it's doing. But to me right now, like when I'm just going through these hills like this, it seems like the bike will, like you'll get up to power, like if I just come to a dead stop, like, and I gas it like this right here, it'll go up to, you know, 36, 40 miles an hour pretty quick. But once it gets to that point, it's like your power almost totally dies off. You know, that's going to be the biggest difference between this and the 450. I guarantee you getting on here with the 450, it's just going to keep on going. Like you're just going to keep on going past 40 miles an hour. It's going to go up to 50, 60 pretty quick. Whereas like this bike, obviously when I'm on a straightaway like this, it's going to go a little better. But I just meant like when I was sitting there jumping on stuff, it just didn't feel like it had that top end sort of power feel to it. Everything was so linear. Whereas before it's like, it seemed like whenever you would get to 30 or 40 miles an hour, it's like you hit a NOS button and it would almost instantly shoot to 50 miles an hour. And that's kind of how it felt beforehand. You know, it felt like it just really had that power hit to it, like a super power band to it. But now it's like everything's just more linear with it. Like if you want to get up to 60 miles an hour on a 125, you're going to have to be on a super long straightaway, you know, or something where there's no bumps at all. Because if you are hitting bumps, the power's too linear to really, you know, giddy up on the power band there like it was beforehand. So either way, that's what I can tell differences wise from it. But oh, am I gonna land that right? Cool, dude. Nice jump. Yeah, so either way, 125 is not super god mode anymore, but that's okay. I mean, it was fun while it lasted, you know. It's basically all you can say about that. Boo. Boo. Either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.